What is up, guys? Mike Wang here, back with another video update on crypto. I'm sorry I haven't been making a lot of videos on stocks recently. I'll try to make some more soon, but if you want to see what I think of the stock market and my approach to the stock market, how I'm exposing myself, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the description to this video below. Where I talk about the macroeconomic changes, the overall stock market, and stocks that are undervalued as a result, and why I think current situations are a huge opportunity for us. But regardless, I'll try to make some videos on stocks as well. But today I want to talk about Bitcoin. The overall market is down significantly as anticipated. If you guys remember, I actually posted my analysis. Well, this one got banned from TradingView because I had my Twitter link on it. But if you take a look at this, the technical symmetry analysis, I posted this when Bitcoin dropped to 42K and bounced right back up to about 50K regions. I knew that this would tap the 30K spot, and this is where we are at right now. So I want to talk about this a little bit, and I want to discuss the probable scenarios that I am seeing based on the information that I shared in the newsletter. So I discussed the probability of a running flat. And before I talk about that, there are videos where I discuss that concept, but I just want to go over and review some of the more core and key concepts before I explain the details of what I am seeing, right? So normally when we have an uptrend, price moving up, right, we move in waves. It goes up and down and up and down, and the overall trend seems like it's moving in a straight line, but nothing moves in a straight line. Even if we look at Bitcoin's a logarithmic chart zoomed out, right, we went from fucking 3K to 69K, right? That's more than a 20x move. And if you look at how it moved, look at the drastic changes that it made along the way up, right? It never moves in straight lines, which is why it's not easy to trade or invest. But there are certain rules and patterns that reoccur in the market that allow us to anticipate how it's going to move in the future based on how it moved in the past, right? And one of the theories that people use a lot, and one of the theories I refer to a lot as well, is the Elliott wave theory, where we have an impulse move. So a move that goes up like this, that's consisted of 5 waves. So we have wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my investment thesis, is that we are currently at the 4th wave, the 4th corrective wave before the 5th impulse wave, indicating that the market cycle isn't over. So what am I seeing here in terms of the market cycle structure? This would be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we would see a move up to 5, potentially tapping 100K levels, right? And in terms of how the structure for wave 4 is going to play out, there are multiple ways of seeing it, right? So one way of seeing it is us seeing a normal corrective pattern, something like this, right? So we have A, B, C. Wave 4 normally consists of an ABC wave, where it's not accurate here, but the A wave and the C wave end at the exact same point, right? Before we see another final impulse move up. Another way, another pattern is a running flat pattern, where the C wave ends a little above the A wave before moving up and making a final impulse wave, which is what I was seeing for Bitcoin over here, right? So this would be the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave. And as you can see, the C wave ending a little slightly above the point where the A wave ended before moving upwards like that. And another way of seeing it is the expanded flat pattern, where we have the C wave end below the A wave before moving back up. So we would see something like this, not as drastic, but we would see move similar to that. That would be a probable scenario, right? So as for the overall structure, that is what I am seeing. And I am also taking into account a possible scenario where this may be the market top. But I do not see this entire structure being a market top and us dropping down to 20K, 10K levels immediately, because I don't think this double top structure, first of all, I'm not sure if we can even identify this as a double top structure. And secondly, I don't think that this is how the market would end, even if it were the top, even if 69K, 70K were the top. What I would anticipate to happen is a triple top structure that looks somewhat like this, right? So we have a move going up like that. We move down to 30K, and then we actually formed new highs at 69K. We drop, and imagine forming another lower high before dropping. That would make more sense to me, right? This would be a triple top formation. So we would have a rounding ceiling pattern like that, right? And this will be a variation of a huge head and shoulders pattern. And this could make sense from an Elliott wave perspective as well, because we could look at, this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? I don't think that's the case, but this is also a probable scenario that we need to keep in mind. We're just exploring probabilities and looking at the probable scenarios that could take place. So when they do actually take place, we can position ourselves accordingly, right? But the main point that I wanted to emphasize in my newsletter was that regardless of which scenario plays out, it leads to the same conclusion. And I'll explain a little more in depth as to why that is the case. So first of all, in my last video, I talked about this descending trendline resistance and how every time the price tapped that region and failed to break above, we saw a huge bearish engulfing candle over here. Once again, here we tapped it, right? And we saw that the price couldn't break above that level, and another huge bearish engulfing candle tapping the point where the running flat pattern should have bottomed out, and also the point where the CME gap located at 32K was filled, right? So overall, so far, so good. This could be the absolute bottom. This may not be, we don't know. But one thing good for sure is we may need a little more time to confirm this, but we have currently tested the descending trendline resistance once again. We're not seeing any sort of major resistance where we see a huge bearish engulfing candle wicking down. Of course, it would have been better if we broke above it, consolidated a little below the 40.7K resistance, which is major resistance, by the way, because it's the level that was tapped here, once again here. It's significant resistance and support, right? So the good news is that we aren't seeing any major rejection yet, right? And even if we were to, if the 32K support holds, and even before that, the support at 35K, if that holds, as long as that holds, we're still fine. We may play around here a little bit, but as long as we can get some sort of reversal, that would still confirm a running flat pattern. Now, if we were to break down that level and potentially test 30K and maybe even slightly below that, that to me, of course, there is a probability where we tap that and we continue to move upwards and potentially up to 100K. But that to me would suggest that there's a higher probability that we tap this region, right? We potentially even wick down to late 20K regions, 28K maybe. But assume that just for convenience sake, assume that we tap 30K, right? That would, to me, mean that we have just a higher chance of potentially topping out at a lower high region over here, forming a rounding top, a variation of the head and shoulders pattern that I was talking about, indicating that the market cycle is over. So honestly, I do want to believe that we have seen the bottom here, but we need to wait a little more to see what sort of confirmation the market can provide to us. So don't get too bearish or don't get too bullish at these levels, because there really isn't any confirmation that has been provided. But if we were to see a bullish reversal taking place, what we have to see is consolidation below the support, right? And a leg up, moving, crossing the 40.7K resistance, right? Because I think I talked about this in another video, but if we want to confirm that the price moves up like this, right? Then what's important, an important condition that needs to be met is that the price doesn't break down the support level before it makes another move up, right? So if we were to see something like this and the price breaks down and rapidly moves back up again, makes a V-shaped recovery, interfering with the support level that was formed here, that would indicate that it's eventually going to make a trend reversal, right? So what we want to see when we see an uptrend or a downtrend and confirm that that trend is going to continue is that it doesn't interfere, is that the support and resistance aren't interfered by the price action, right? And that's exactly what we were seeing on the daily chart for Bitcoin. If you look at this, it's almost picture perfect. Like, take a look at this. Look at how perfectly it's breaking down, right? So it breaks down, consolidates, but it doesn't break back above, right? So breaks down, consolidates, breaks down again, consolidates, fails to break above the resistance level that was formed, which is why it breaks down again, consolidates, fails to break above, right? If we were to break above, we could have seen a reversal, but that's not the case. So we break down again. Now, it's important that if we want to see a reversal, we need to see a reversal take place here at 40K, and more specifically at 40.7K, because that's a more important line of resistance that we're seeing. So if we can interfere with that resistance line, that could indicate a potential reversal. And I don't mind consolidating below that resistance line to see another leg up, because as long as we see a leg up, that would confirm that there is more evidence to think that the trend is bullish and that the trend has reversed. Ultimately, that is what I would want to see. If we were to break down once again to 30K levels, I would lean towards the theory that the market top could form at a lower high and that the market cycle could, as we know it, could be over. But hopefully that isn't the case. Hopefully, even if we do break down once again, 32K holds and we see some sort of reversal taking place over here. And another thing is, if this pattern does turn out to be a running flat pattern, then we would see almost picture perfect impulse waves over here, moving up like that. So what's really important is that you know where the confirmation and invalidation levels are, so that you can position yourself accordingly. And in fact of the matter is, and this is what you need to understand, sometimes on Twitter or on Telegram, on the community that I run, I will say things like, oh, Bitcoin looks bullish, Bitcoin looks bearish, right? That doesn't mean that the moment I say it's bullish, the price cannot go below the point at which I said it was bullish at, right? So that doesn't mean I need to say it's bullish exactly at this point, you know? Or if we look at a past example, I've been saying that Bitcoin was bullish. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was bullish. I was bullish on Bitcoin at these levels, right? And I wasn't bullish at a specific point at 28.5K, saying this is the absolute bottom. The bottom is completely in. Bitcoin is never going to go below these levels. Bitcoin is bullish. That's not what I said. There's no way for me to figure that out, right? I was bullish at these regions because I knew that the overall trend, we could see a reversal, right? So when I say Bitcoin is bullish or bearish, that doesn't mean that it's the absolute bottom or the absolute top. Another thing you need to understand is that Bitcoin can be expensive at 38K and it can be cheap at 42K, right? And if you don't understand what that means, you're like, what the fuck, Mike? What the fuck are you talking about, right? 42K is over here. 38K is over here. Of course, 38K is cheaper than 42K. Might be what you think, right? But it's different if you understand probabilities and risk and reward. Because, look, if you're buying at 38K or 38.5K, you're buying at resistance, meaning there's a higher probability that it might get rejected and you lose your money, as opposed to when Bitcoin consolidates below resistance and breaks out and consolidates once again at above 42K. That would significantly reduce the probability of Bitcoin potentially revisiting these levels down, right? Which is why it's cheaper at 42K, because you have confirmation that there's a higher probability that Bitcoin is going to move up and that the trend reversal has taken place. But at 38K, you don't have that, which is why it's more expensive to buy at 38K than it is to buy at 42K. And that's why I keep sharing this chart. I keep referring to this chart. I think I used this chart since September of last year. I keep referring to it because it shows all the significant support and resistance levels you need to know. I'm not doing this because it's all colorful, it looks nice. It's not about how aesthetic the chart is. It's about whether you can look at these levels and you can refer to these and say, okay, Bitcoin is currently at resistance, so I won't buy Bitcoin at 38K, but what I will do instead is if Bitcoin can consolidate below or above 40.7K and break above that level, maybe even retest 45K before retracing to 40K, 41K, then I'll buy Bitcoin at 42K levels. And some people may say, well, you could have bought Bitcoin at 38K. Why are you buying Bitcoin at 42K, right? But those are the people who don't understand trading, who don't understand probabilities, and who don't know how risk reward works. Of course, you could have bought Bitcoin at 38K. That would be technically cheaper, but there's a higher probability that it may break down from 38K as opposed to when you're buying at 42K, you know that there's a higher probability it's going to move up. And it's better to buy at 42K with confirmation than to ape in at 38K, not knowing that it could potentially drop to 28K, right? So that's what I keep emphasizing. That's what I want to talk to you guys about is you need to look for confirmation and invalidation and say, okay, this is how the market is moving. This is what I think of the market. And you need to get into the mentality or the thought process of approaching the market as if X, then Y, right? You can't just say, oh, Bitcoin, I don't know, it just looks good at these levels. There's no evidence for me to think so. I just get a good feeling about it. That's like, you can't trade your money like that. You can't trade your hard-earned money just based on gut feeling, right? So what you want to do is, if Bitcoin, I've identified the significant support and resistance levels. If Bitcoin can manage to break above this descending trendline resistance, then I will buy the pullback. If Bitcoin bounces from the pullback, right? Imagine breaking out and then buying the pullback. If Bitcoin bounces from the pullback and touches 40.7K, then I will sell my Bitcoins for a short-term profit, right? Assuming that you're trading and not investing or accumulating for the long term. So if you keep doing that, you're going to keep stashing up capital in your trading account. And that's how you should be approaching the market. It's not, oh, let me ape in at 30K, or I get a feeling that Bitcoin is going to break down to 30K. So what I'll do is I'll have all my buy orders here. What if it doesn't even tap that region? What if it just keeps going up like that? You're going to miss the bus, right? So always have a little bit of exposure. Always know where your confirmation and invalidation levels are. Just to summarize again, the way I'm looking at the market is I'm seeing this entire range as a wave 4 phase of a macro cycle before we see another impulse move up, right? But as to where that is going to end, we don't know. I don't know. Satoshi doesn't know. Satoshi's mom doesn't know, right? So all we can think of is this is going to be an ABC pattern. But where is the wave C going to end? We're not sure, which is why we have certain levels. We approach it by levels and we say, okay, this is where support is. This is where resistance is. If it breaks these levels, then we can think that there's a higher probability that it's going to move this way or that way, yada, 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 right? That's all there is to it, you know? There's nothing complicated about this. But I will say this. I am still very bullish on crypto this year. And I want you guys to remember that even if Bitcoin drops another 50% from current ranges, right? Even if we drop just like that overnight, that doesn't change the fact that Bitcoin's supply is limited at 21 million coins, right? And practically even less than that because there are lost coins and all that. But Let that sink in. Think about that. Let that sink in. Bitcoin supply is limited at 21 million coins. And I don't even have to mention this, but on Twitter I shared this. For the past few weeks, in January of 2022, the top 75 wallets holding the most Bitcoins added more to their wallets. So the whales are buying. Whales are accumulating at these regions. Because given that the market cycle isn't over, this is a great opportunity to buy cheap Bitcoin. And now let's assume, right, just to play the devil's advocate, let's assume that the market cycle is over. I keep saying this over and over again, but this market cycle cannot end as a double top. And I've explained this multiple times in other videos and in my newsletter, so I don't want to go over it again, but it cannot be an ending with a double top. What does that mean? We need to at least see a triple top, right? A variation of a head and shoulders pattern before we break down. But what does that also imply? It also implies that we have further upside before we move down, right? So what do we do? If that seems to be the case, if it is the case where the macro market cycle is over, we retest 30K levels and then we eventually top out at, let's say, mid 50K or maybe even early 60K ranges before we break down, at least we would have bought Bitcoin at 30K ranges and sold at 60K. That's still a 100% move, right? So regardless of whether the macro cycle is over or not, it leads to the same conclusion. You should approach the market from the perspective of a buyer. I honestly wouldn't be looking for places to short in these regions because the risk reward isn't worth it, right? There's huge support at 30K, and this is all you can profit from. But the upside is almost unlimited. So the risk reward here, the best way to approach the market, the best way to expose yourself in the market is to approach it from the perspective of a buyer. So that is it for today, guys. I hope this video was helpful in explaining some of the scenarios that I am looking at, the confirmation and invalidation levels you guys should be looking for. I just want to make sure I'm clear about this, but I'm very, very bullish on crypto this year. I am very bullish, and I am putting my money where my word is. I am buying Bitcoin at these levels. I have been buying Bitcoin since it tapped 38K because that was where I initially anticipated Bitcoin to bottom out, right? We've dropped down severely to 33K, but that's still okay. I'll buy more Bitcoin there, right? I'm not going all in one order. But eventually, as Bitcoin rallies upwards, right, and forms impulse moves, altcoins are going to go insane as well. And I will talk about altcoins when it's time. But for now, I think it's better if we shift our focus only to Bitcoin and look at how Bitcoin behaves before we can think of alts. But I am very bullish overall. I'm not too worried unless we see some sort of insane movement. The sentiment is terrible, but sentiments can always change. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a long video, so if you stuck around until the end of this video, thank you. I really hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment down below so I can answer them for you. If you guys want to see more of this, where I write everything down in a more eloquent manner instead of just rambling on in a video, make sure to check out my newsletter where I talk about everything. I talk about all my perspectives, right? So make sure to check that out. Link is in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.